Hello everybody, welcome to Captain of My Shed. I'm Captain Mikey. In this episode, this is a special one. We're filming at the moment from the middle of a volcano in Lanzarote, that's right. And if you've been following my channel, especially if you looked at the last year's Great Guitar Build Off, you'll know that my folks live out here, and my dad has a workshop, and he made a beautiful wooden mosaic for my guitar build last year. And in this episode, we're going to do a workshop tour of my dad's small but incredibly well equipped workshop. So it's going to be a fairly simple short video, but hopefully you'll find it interesting. We'll see you in a bit.
You wanted to see what you were doing.
Here we are, back down from the mountain now, back down from the volcano, and in front of my dad's little workshop. So here's the man himself, Papa Video. Say hi to the camera.
Hello everybody.
And he's going to, well, I'm going to show us around. I've got some questions to ask, and hopefully we'll give you a good idea of what you can do with a small workshop. If you're a fan of attention to detail and a bit of a masterclass of woodworking, there's a couple of projects inside you're going to love. So let's go and have a look. Okay, here's what you see when you come in. So how big is this workshop, Papa?
3.5 by 5 meters.
Okay, and that's in its widest part. As we turn this corner, you can see as part of the villa that this is attached to is kind of butting into the workshop, and it's also kind of split level. It's quite cool for me to come into this workshop. There's a fair few bits of machinery that I've known to be in my dad's various workshops since I was knee-high. Startright pillar drill, got the Myford lathe down there in the corner, and the milling machine here. Right, tell me how many of you have a corner in your shed which has old fishing tackle, fishing reels, bits of line and weights and stuff. I know I've got a small stack. I've found my dad's guilty stash here. I bet there's a ton of you have the same thing in your workshop. This is an interesting mod that a couple of you might be really interested in. I know I am. I think it's a really cool trick, if you like. You might be wondering on the milling machine here why we've got this modification, this kind of heavy-duty aluminium arm clamping, this Bosch POF 500 trim router, basically. I believe the reason is that the motor speed on a trim router is ideal for cutting wood, with the smaller wood cutting bits that you're going to get. The speed of this motor slightly too slow. By doing this, you've got a dual material milling machine, which is actually a really cool little idea. And if I ever get a milling machine, then perhaps I'll be doing something like this. Okay, the pillar drill I was telling you about, the Startright Mercury, another nice solid piece of engineering kit. A nice tip that my dad was telling me he uses this for. He gets a nice flat surface underneath, and he uses this stiff sanding disc, which he then puts into the chuck, and you can set the height of that. And as long as you don't put the center of the disc over the center, or rather over the edge of your workpiece, this is a great way to flatten and even thickness sand them some smaller pieces.
Polishing.
So polishing as well, is it?
Yes.
So finish polishing, finish sanding, a really nice trick. So yeah, something you might want to try. Okay, I suppose first I should ask you what you like to make at the moment, and the kind of things, perhaps go through a couple of the little projects that I can see on the bench here in front of us.
Well, I started as a model engineer and making steam engines. I made about 5 or 6 Stuart Turner engines, and gradually over the years my attention went from metalworking slowly into woodworking.
You saw the light, is what you're saying.
I saw the light, yes. This is still under construction. I'm still doing some metalworking. This is a Stuart triple. It's been on the go now for probably about 7 or 8 years, and hopefully my attention to woodworking will allow me to finish this project. Normally, after I changed to woodworking, I went through a sequence of making boxes, and the first boxes that I made, they were veneered, and I liked the geometric 3D patterns. I developed a complete new system how to get the most accurate pattern, not showing any glue lines or anything like that, and I think I managed that now. And if you come a bit closer, Michael, although this box is not completely finished, it shows you the impossible geometric pattern of a cube. And if you come very close, you can see that there are hardly any joints showing.
So would you say your workshop now is set up with the making of these boxes in mind, or is it more flexible than that?
The workshop is, in my mind, flexible to do anything. I can, with still having all the metal cutting machines, the lathe, the milling machine, I can basically repair or make anything in both woodworking and in metalworking spheres.
So let's have a look at this table saw. My understanding being that you made your own table saw. Yes. Because the table saws you could buy weren't good enough.
Well, they weren't accurate enough.
Yeah.
I just make a quick assembly. A sliding table.
And these are all pinholes for various jig positions, is that right?
Correct, yes.
You haven't just missed with the pillar drill?
No.
Centerpiece is this piece here, and it's a beautiful drum sander that Papa Video over here has made himself. You can smile. So I'm going to get him to take us through the machine, why he's made it the way he has, how it works, all that good stuff. We are going to use it to thickness a soundboard that I made and brought over here with me, so you can see it in operation as well. So I'll shut up and I'll let him show us through this piece.
First thing we have is the actual drum, which is made up out of segments of ply, and it's got a diameter of about 4.5 inch, and it takes various widths of and various grades, obviously, of emery paper. The belt that is used to drive the piece underneath the drum is resting on a emery cloth belt, which basically is used on the bigger sanding machines. The working width is 32 centimeters. The tension of the belt can be adjusted by these two knobs, and a multiple tension is done on these items here, these two screws here. The belt table can be locked in position for the final cut, so that you know exactly that the belt, that there's no movement in the belt table. The belt table height is set by an adjustment of this scissor plate, which goes up or down, and we can register the actual movement of the table in relation to the drum by this DRO readout. The DRO readout is central underneath the belt, So it actually measures the gap and ignores the angle of the sanding bed. It's got various positions so that you can adjust the height or the distance between the drum and the sanding belt to a maximum of just under 5 inches or say 12 centimeters.
Okay, so this is a soundboard that I am trying to thickness to a final thickness of just over 2 millimeters. It's quite a small soundboard, so I'm going quite thin with it. Now, having just used this to flatten and thickness the soundboard of my little travel guitar that I'm making, I can tell you it's getting an accuracy of something like 0.02 all around the board. It's pretty amazing for a homemade piece of kit. I struggle to find time to make a simple tenon jig for my router, so yeah, it would probably take me half a lifetime to make that thing, but there we go. I'm sure some of you will enjoy the attention to detail that's gone into that.
To take my mind off box making, I saw this on Facebook a couple of times, and I thought I'll make one of those. And the start of the project was pretty quick. The shape of the bodywork of the car was not a big problem. And then I needed to make the wheels. And the wheels, in order to get to near scale of 1 in 12.5, I had a problem finding the spokes. The spoke diameter needed to be about 10 millimeter, so it would end up about 0.8 of a millimeter, which of course was impossible in wood. But it's my opinion that if you build a wooden car, that every single component of the car needs to be built in wood, or needs to be constructed from wood. So I went to my local tapas bar and I ordered a portion of aceitunas, and with it came some cocktail sticks, and they were pretty good quality. So I had to reduce the thickness of all of these spokes, and I'll show you now how I did that. Working shop. I have got a set of drill. This is now to the spoke dimension. Unfortunately, about 50% of this operation, the spokes didn't survive. Having made, to start off with, 7 wheels in total with 30 spokes each, you can imagine that I needed about 500, or nearly 500 toothpicks to get sufficient spokes that were serviceable, usable. The car took me, I can't remember the hours, but what I do remember was that the wheels, 5 wheels, would take me as long as the whole car built. The only other thing that is perhaps worth mentioning is that
you couldn't get away completely from making boxes, could you?
No. So I made a box, which is part of the Ford Cabriolet, 1928, I believe it was. So I made the box and I felt that it needed opening, whereas normally it's made out of one solid block of wood. Here I have to admit I got away from my religious statement that a wooden car needs to be made of wood only, and for the hinges I actually used a piece of packing paper. Packing paper by itself is not enough, so I made a sandwich of double-sided sticky tape, packing paper, and they serves now as a hinge. And you can see, I think it's just about acceptable.
We'll let you off for that one. What's that inside?
Oh, when I was making the door handles, they were so fragile that I thought I must make another one. Although the doors don't open, this handle on the
seat compartment?
Yeah, the seat compartment. This handle on the seat compartment is in use, and I thought I'd better make a spare one just in case.
I thought it was a little wheel jack. I'm now a bit disappointed you haven't made a wheel jack so you can change the tyres.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Stunning piece of kit. Right, well, I got to say thank you very much to Papa Video.
My pleasure, my friend.
We've got another few days to spend in Lanzarote here in the nice warm weather. We're not allowed to spend too much time in the workshop, but I hope you've got an idea of what can be done in a workshop this size. You can pack a lot in and you can achieve some incredible results. He's a bit of a perfectionist really. By comparison, I feel like I'm at play school, but I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed the workshop tour, and I'll see you when I get back.